What's going on, everybody? This is the blockchain backer bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Today, we're looking over here at the Bitcoin price chart and the altcoin market. Of course, we'll peek over there at the XRP price chart, as in the last 24 hours, we have seen a mass liquidation event take place over here in the cryptocurrency market, where if you caught it live, it was breathtaking. Yesterday, in a matter of minutes, Bitcoin fell over $1,000, triggering an insane liquidation event, causing the altcoin market as well to plummet. And as we can see here, I have us on the 1 minute chart where each one of these candles represents 1 minute, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4 minutes of sheer liquidations taking place in the altcoin market, along with Bitcoin, where we even saw XRP break its supports from 55 cents straight down to 43 cents. And after that 5 minutes of leverage unwinding, the market has really just kind of stabilized afterwards. As we can see over here on CoinGlass, in the last 24 hours, there have been over $1 billion worth of liquidations. To put that into context, when FTX collapsed, it was $875 million in 24 hours. So this moment we just had was on par with FTX. But what makes it even different is that, being somebody who's been in crypto since the first half of 2017, I've gone through the bull run, I've gone through the crash and capitulation of 2018, I've been through the C19 sell-off, I've been through the SEC lawsuit, I've been through Luna, UST, Celsius, Three Arrows Capital, all collapsing. I've been through the FTX collapse, but that 5 minutes of chaos was more aggressive than any moment I've seen in C19, the SEC lawsuit, or FTX. Happening in just a matter of 4 minutes. It was almost breathtaking. There wasn't even time to be like, oh, hey, this is starting to break. Let's take a look at some things. Before you know it, boom, it's done. Everyone, of course, is looking for news and justifications for why Bitcoin's price fell. And in the heat of the moment, looking for news narratives, you could see that China's property giant Evergrande had filed for bankruptcy when the crack had happened. At the same time, news that Elon Musk's SpaceX had unloaded all of their Bitcoin. Elon Musk is still yet to comment on that. This, of course, was broke yesterday. Elon Musk's SpaceX sold all of its $373 million of Bitcoin, according to the Wall Street Journal. I've seen lots of Bitcoiners say that the article does not state that they actually sold it. I don't know why that narrative is getting set out there, but the article does state sold the cryptocurrency. So the document shows that SpaceX wrote down the value of Bitcoin it owns by a total of $373 million for last year and in 2021, and it has sold the cryptocurrency. So you pretty much got Evergrande, and then you also got Elon Musk selling the Bitcoin happening there within a flash moment. Now, yesterday I had tweeted and retweeted Eleanor Tourette, but I guess she deleted her tweet, showing that the SEC has been approved to file their interlocutory appeal, and it has to be filed by now today. And I'd stated in there, I've been waiting for news to show up today with this price action, just sniffing it out that where's the news? TXMC sort of in the same boat, making the guess. Fingers crossed for a Tether depeg story to drop right now and mark the Pico bottom. Not necessarily that we're cheering for bad news, just that what have we seen in every single move? FTX collapse, banking crisis, SEC sues Coinbase and Binance, but no negative news has been happening in here. Well, now we get something. It wasn't Tether. It wasn't with the SEC. It ends up being a narrative of Elon Musk and SpaceX selling off all of their Bitcoin, and property giant in China, Evergrande, filing for bankruptcy. If this is your first time hearing about Evergrande, this was a huge narrative in 2022 of massive real estate issues going on over there in China and its impact on the global economy. So two kind of events sparked, happen at the same time in coordination with an actual liquidation event that is one of the fastest liquidation events we've seen in crypto. Like stated, even more than FTX. But, for me, I have to look beyond the news of just saying, Elon sold his Bitcoin and Evergrande collapses. The reason why that move happened, it was so aggressive. It was pure liquidations, right? The market took itself to a point of breaking and broke. I remember being in 2018 going through something like that, specifically when we had C19, and how that felt this deep into the game to get a moment like that to end up happening. It was certainly brutal to have that happen in there. And even then in 2018, what we actually ended up seeing was those liquidations actually set us way new lows And so as we can see in here, most of these assets have all still continued to hold their lows that have been in place all year long. The one, of course, that is just brutal is the one over there on XRP. After spending a year and 2 months in a Wyckoff accumulation range to finally have a sign of strength breakout, we get back to the support level, and what happens? The biggest liquidation event that we've seen shatters it right through, as the whole crypto market does. Of course, this brings back reminiscences of what it was like back there in 2020 after the SEC lawsuit. I know System Sentinel over there had that view of repeating the SEC collapse once again. Not the most optimistic view long term to have that happen again, if that's the only future we have available for us for XRP. So we'll have to give this thing some time to breathe to see how it's going to react, if it's going to set up in the exact same manner, if it's going to shoot back up in here and consolidate in here for a long time again, or if we get kind of a quick recovery coming out of there for XRP. I had a lot of people messaging me yesterday, what do you think? What's next? What's next? And we're talking literally like minutes into this liquidation event happening. Like everybody, I was sitting there watching it just like, holy cow. But of course, as we get back to supports, our liquidation event in a whole crypto market shows up right at that moment. So it's been kind of brutal here at this actual range. We actually break out on Epic News and then break through on mass liquidations in the market and leave somewhat of a blurry picture here for at least the short-term price action for XRP. It's as if we just had an FTX collapse happen. It's as if we just had C19 happen. And most of us are kind of like, really? It's that bad? Because it happened so fast in just a blink of an eye. Now, for those who have been watching the discussion of the total altcoin market cap versus XRP, there you have it. If this is to remain true, that should have been the end of that, as that throwback would be complete, which we can also see over there in others, which is the altcoin market excluding the top 10. So it's going to exclude Bitcoin, Ethereum, USDT, USDC, Binance Coin, just versus the remainder of the crypto market excluding top 10. You can see the same thing. So an absolutely wild move that happened yesterday, certainly leaving those feelings of what they were like back in 2019 and 20 as liquidations kept shoving it down. But we'll spend the remainder of this video kind of moving towards talking about Bitcoin, then talking about broader markets, because now we're going to see how the stock market is going to react to everything that's happened and the technical levels that the Dow Jones is at, because that thing is teetering on itself as well. As for Bitcoin, we've been able to watch how this entire fall has taken place back there in 2021 and 2022 compared to how we typically fall. As we approached back to this region in this similar style move, we did find some serious struggles that happened in here. And there was some serious volatility bouncing to the tops and the bottoms in here before it was ever able to get through. So long as Bitcoin is still holding its lows that are set there at 24,800, that still remains plausible. But for the last couple of weeks, we've been bringing this one up, as we've been talking about for the last couple of years. I posted about this on Twitter about 6 days ago, saying that one that nobody has on their bingo card for Bitcoin is this particular setup. What kind of farmer are you? An engagement farmer? Engagement farming at its finest. Engagement farming with this outlandish take, BCB. It's something that I think we have to keep our eye on over here for Bitcoin. And I've remained true with it throughout the last several years that I didn't think Bitcoin would set a new all-time high, but that we would retrace and trying to figure out what type of retracement we're going to do. To claim that this is engagement farming, well, here we are talking about it in September of 2022 before Bitcoin even bottomed. On September 28th, here we are on August 3rd of 2022 talking about it. Again, here on September 16th. And here we are all the way back in April of 2022 before we even ended up having the Luna collapse. Talking all about this and showing examples of that all occurring with other assets such as Netflix back in April of 2022. Again, so long as we're staying in here, so long as Bitcoin does maintain these lows, we have seen this before with this exact same correction, struggling at this exact same level, and then waddling around in here, really unable to break through. That is not broken. But should the lows get taken out, we really start setting ourselves up for something like this happening, at least for Bitcoin. Technically speaking, this was even a new high. As this was just pathetic. But judging by in here, we can pull back down. we can pull back down and then still move up. So nothing was really broken and gave a really clear signal until lows started getting taken out. So if we start taking out lows, my mind is going to start shifting in this direction for Bitcoin. The $1 million question out there to follow that up is to say, well, what about all the altcoins? That will be a difficult question to answer, as it will be moving into completely uncharted waters. You either would have to think, one, cryptocurrency's dead, or two, the Bitcoin dominance is going to plunge and Bitcoin will no longer be the king of the market. Maybe it will. Maybe it'll still remain up there, but its influence on the market won't be the same. That, of course, requires this time is different. But of course, as most of you would know, that would make this time different as well from what we've seen historically in Bitcoin, as most people depend on the 4-year block reward having 4-year cycles magic. We'll take it as it goes and assess it as it comes. As of right now, it hasn't broken. We just watched mass liquidations in the crypto market. We watched negative news come out at the same time. Throughout all of 2023 and late 2022, whenever we've seen really negative news and mass liquidations, and these liquidations were bigger than FTX, those marked the lows. So there's some hope there, but we'll be looking to see if these lows do get taken out. The thing to keep an eye on today, as we are now at the end of the week, is what's going to happen over here with the stock market. Everything that we just saw happen over there in crypto happened in after hours. So is there a structurally bigger problem happening over there in macro markets at the same time? We're at a level that seems pretty important to hold. It does look like we're going to see futures open to the downside, but to see if we're going to see something get carried away over there in the stock market as well. While people do find this idea to be engagement farming, the concept of it has really come down to also speaking about the stock market and keeping our eyes on it to see, are we now about to see something that just happened in crypto happen over there in the stock market too? One thing we've pointed to is just how close we've gotten to this 4.236 extension. As of this exact moment, we're only about 15% away from a 4.236 extension on the Dow Jones. We've actually gotten as close as 6%, and really just the most recent move got us within 11% of the 4.236 extension. I've expressed concern about this. Even if we get a new all-time high in the stock market, this is going to be my danger point, my scary point. And I think the thing that people haven't really focused on when talking about 4-year cycles or block reward halvings is just a correlation that comes with the stock market and understanding how big of a move this is that has happened here since the great financial crisis. If we go and we lay this on here and we make sure that these lines are absolutely perfect and put them right on the pinpoint button of where they're supposed to be, and then we go ahead and overlay what has happened when we've gone this high before, when we look back at the roaring 20s and what occurred in that type of run-up, I don't think people realize just how similar all of this really is, and that if we even start it of the roaring 20s right at the bottom of where the great financial crisis bottomed at as well, and we start ourselves right here, what are the chances? What is the probability of it? Even the roaring 20s is literally a 4.236 extension. And to understand that we have gotten within 13%, at one point even getting within 6% of the height of what the roaring 20s were like before things really came tumbling down. So was this just a crypto-related event? Will this be a bigger related event? That's going to be what today kind of has in store for us, or at least where my mind goes to next. Everybody probably wanting to be like, what happens? What's next? What's next? I think we're kind of in the thick of this moment to kind of let the dust settle and figure out what is really happening here in the markets. To have the biggest liquidation that we've seen in a very long time, and for it to only happen in 5 minutes, I think this will be something to watch today to see if there's any type of signal or message that's delivered by the stock market. Fortunately, we just had the stock market open. I just got done with markets in the morning, and we actually do see that the Dow Jones Industrial Average is up today. So it kind of gapped a little bit there at the opening of the market, but it is sitting over there in the green. And we do have several stocks that are in the green this morning, which alleviates a little bit of the concern that this is a massive macro move. We're at a technical level that's a good spot for a bounce to occur, but we definitely would like to see that. At least I would. And there certainly is some relief to see that there is some holding happening in here, that after a multi-week move down, things got a little bit climatic yesterday in the stock market as it went into the close. And then right right after the close is where we get the news release, where we get the cascading liquidations in crypto. But as the day has progressed now, the stock market's been open for about almost 2 hours now. We've got a little bit of green going on here. We're not seeing the cascading continuing as the markets get going. And of course, one of the interesting phenomenons happening is that you look over on the right side of the screen, most of the crypto market is green today, although nothing close to what, was taken away yesterday. But you look down here on the bottom, at the very bottom, you got Bitcoin sitting at the lows, and you see the Bitcoin dominance really still continuing to continue down. We've spent a lot of time talking about these dominances and the excessiveness that has happened over here in the Bitcoin dominance compared to the safety trade of Bitcoin and Ethereum and the stable coins. And the irony is the two at the bottom of the screen here are both Bitcoin and Ethereum, which are part of that safety trade dominance that we spent last week talking about. So some dynamic shifts seem to be underway here in the market. It's only been less than 24 hours since all of this happened, like many, in that short of an amount of time to be able to digest it. It's not much time for me to have spent much time digesting it as well. But you can bet I'll be spending the entire day looking at it, and of course through the weekend. And one more thing before we go, it's just to kind of harp back on what we're talking about with that safety trade dominance. And we're talking about Bitcoin. You see the Bitcoin dominance falling as expected, and that the safety trade index of dominance, when you include Bitcoin, you include Ethereum, you include USDC and USDT. There was a whole video really dedicated to this idea and discussions of a little throwback that would be happening in here. We can zoom in on that. That's really kind of what occurs in here, and to see that particular moment would throw that back, right? So what does that mean? A shift into USDC is shifting into USDT, right? Because we didn't see the dominance for Bitcoin shoot up right there, right? What did you see? You saw USDT dominance rise in there, right? Going from 7.5% to over 8%. You saw USDC dominance rise into that moment, right? Going from 2.28% to 2.54%. And the two of them together in that moment shot as high as going up a total of taking 1.18% of the dominance, which is really that move right there, right? 1.1. So it's an interesting dynamic to think about and digest throughout the weekend as well on the safety trade to get that little throwback to happen as anticipated. And how is the market going to digest it from here on? So 5 minutes of chaos. Fortunately, as the markets open, it's not happening broadly. We do see that the NASDAQ is down. We do see that the S&P is down about 0.25%. But the Dow Jones, the one that for some reason crypto loves the Dow Jones, kind of its climatic moment and seems to be holding at least so far today. We'll see how it goes into the closing today, heading into the weekend. But fortunately, not a cascading situation as the market gets going. So definitely climatic, definitely dramatic. Fortunately, stock market holding up. Fortunately, crypto holding okay. Bitcoin dominance falling. The safety trade index dominance falling. Hopefully that was the extent of it. We'll give it a little time to settle and assess it. I think my main worry was looking towards the Dow and looking towards the stock market to see if that thing was going to fall apart and if this was a precursor event to something like that. Fortunately, it looks okay so far. Keep your eyes on it through the rest of the day. I'll spend my weekend diving into all of this to see if we can find something within everything. And otherwise, I will check in with you guys next week. But that was likely the craziest 5 minutes of crypto I recall seeing. So it's one of those weird moments. It's like, you have times where you can like watch things falling apart and you're kind of like, oh no, things are really starting to fall apart. This was one of those things where it was just an actual blink of the eye. And there you go. It has happened. And fortunately, it has been stable since. So we'll let it print itself out a little bit more and then we'll assess it as time goes on. But all right, guys, we'll check in on it again soon. I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you're looking for something to do throughout the weekend, of course, you can check out my website, bcbacker.com. There's over 40 videos here with over 11 hours of content. We talk about the importance of things like what we've just seen happen with Bitcoin and altcoin dominance swings and emotional management in these types of environments, along with, of course, a lot of technical stuff in regards to setting up your own charts and TradingView and CoinTrader Pro. So if you want to build up your inventory of knowledge, you can check this out over the weekend at bcbacker.com. Otherwise, guys, I want to wish you all a wonderful weekend. I want to thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like this video and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.